My wonderful listeners, welcome back to another powerful, reflective, and eye-opening episode of the Languages Pedagogy Podcast. Today I want to take you on a journey into the heart of silence. Yeah, silence. The kind of silence that speaks louder than words. The kind of silence that isn't empty, but full of potential. The kind that has been misunderstood, misjudged, and in many ways underestimated. This episode is 123, The Silent Period Embracing Natural Language Development. And let me be clear from the beginning, alright? This isn't just an educational concept. It's not just a theory from the pages of a linguistic textbook. It's an emotional experience, a personal journey, a space of vulnerability, a time of quiet power. So whether you're a teacher trying to support a child who hasn't spoken a single word in your classroom, or a language learner yourself, wondering why your mind is absorbing but your mouth remains shut, or a parent worried that your child isn't talking yet in your new country's language, this episode is for you. Today we'll explore what the silent period truly is, what research says about it, how to recognize it, and most importantly, how to honor it. Because the silent period is not a pause in development, it is development, just not the kind we're used to measuring with tests, grades, or oral exams. So, grab your cup of tea or coffee, or maybe take this episode on a long walk or short walk. Let's slow down and listen deeply. Let's get started.
Woo! Let's go!
What's the silent period? Let's start by grounding ourselves in some definition. The silent period refers to a stage in second language acquisition when learners, particularly beginners or young children, do not produce spoken language, even though they're actively receiving and processing input. It's sometimes called the pre-production stage, the listening period, or simply the nonverbal phase. Now, you may hear those terms and think of passivity, but here's the key. This is not passive. In fact, during the silent period, the learner is doing some of the most important internal work of the language acquisition process. They are observing, processing, mapping meaning to sound. They're developing an internal representation of the language system. And they're absorbing the rhythm, intonation, pronunciation, grammar structures, and cultural nuances. And they're doing it quietly, because just like seeds beneath the soil, real growth doesn't always announce itself with noise. The natural order hypothesis and language acquisition. If you spend any time diving into second language theory, you've probably come across the name Stephen Krashen. Krashen's monitor model includes 5 major hypotheses, one of which is the natural order hypothesis. This hypothesis argues that language acquisition unfolds in a predictable sequence and that production follows comprehension. The silent period, therefore, is not optional, it's natural. It's the time when the brain is building comprehension before it feels safe or confident enough to speak. In Krashen's term, this is also when comprehensible input plays the steering role. The learner is receiving input that is slightly above their current level and slowly building an understanding of the language's mechanics. But production, that comes later. And pushing it too early, that can be counterproductive. Why isn't my student talking? The anxiety behind the silence. Now let's get into something real. Let's talk about the pressure to perform. One of the most common concerns I hear from teachers, administrators, and even parents is the following. It's been weeks, months, and my student still hasn't spoken a word. Behind that concern is often a deeper fear. 1. Are they learning? 2. Are they falling behind? 3. Are they okay? And here's what I say. They're not falling behind. They're not broken. They're not resisting learning. They are incubating. Not joking. They are storing, observing, comparing, testing out the language silently, through inner speech, through imagination, through play, through daydreaming. Just because it's invisible doesn't mean it's inactive. But this fear often leads us to rush learners into speech. We call on them too soon. We demand oral answers, or we assume silence equals disengagement or confusion. And in doing so, we can unintentionally damage their confidence, or even cause them to shut down further. Real life story. Hugo's first sentence. Let me tell you about a boy I once taught named Hugo. He was 6 years old in that time, from China, and joined an English immersion classroom in the middle of the academic year. For the first 4 months, he said nothing. Not one word, not even a whisper, not even during recess. Teachers worried, parents worried, some students even teased him. But I noticed something else. He was always listening. He'd turn his head slightly whenever there was dialogue. He smiled at the right times during story time. He responded with body language. He drew detailed pictures of things we'd talk about. He even hummed melodies from the songs we sang in class. But then one day, I think it was in March, I was reading the book Brown Bear. Brown Bear, what do you see? Aloud to the class. I turned the page and asked the group, blue horse, what do you see? And from the back of the room, Hugo said, clear as a day, I see a green frog looking at me. It was the first sentence he ever said out loud. And it wasn't just memorized, it was perfect, fluid, confident. It matched the pattern, the syntax, the vocabulary, and the rhythm of the book. The room went silent. And then it exploded in applause, because we all knew we had just witnessed language bloom. Understanding the brain during the silent period. Let's talk neuroscience now. During the silent period, the brain is doing extraordinary work. Language regions like Broca's area and Wernicke's area are forming connections. The auditory cortex is turning itself to the sound system of the new language. The hippocampus is encoding meaning. And mirror neurons? They're mapping how the mouth moves when a new sound is made. What this means is that silent learners are not waiting to learn. They're actively laying the neurological foundation for future speaking. And here's the kicker. Learners who go through a robust silent period often produce more accurate, more native-like speech later on, because their brain had time to fine-tune the internal system before attempting to speak. Silent periods in adults versus children. We often associate the silent period with young children, and that makes sense. They're still developing cognitively, socially, and emotionally. But adults experience silent periods too. Think about yourself when you start learning a new language, Chinese, Arabic, French, any language. There's often a long period where you're just absorbing, watching videos, listening to audio, reading short text, repeating things in your head. That's a silent period. But as adults, we tend to judge ourselves harshly for it. We say things like, I've been studying for 3 months and I still can't speak. But we forget speaking is not the first step, it's the fifth or sixth. Listening comes first, understanding comes next, then imitation, then silent rehearsal, then semi-verbal attempts, then speech. Give yourself grace. Now, the teacher's role creating a safe space. So, what can teachers and educators do to support learners in the silent period? First, validate it. Tell learners that it's okay to be silent. Let them know it's normal, even expected. 2. Model rich input. Use gestures, visual, repetition, and predictable routines. Provide plenty of comprehensible input that doesn't rely on translation. 3. Use nonverbal participation. Let them point, draw, match, nod, or signal understanding without speaking. 4. Celebrate comprehension. Prize listening. Prize correct responses, even if they're not verbal. 5. Avoid forced speaking. Don't put them on the spot too early. Let them come to speech on their own terms. 6. Watch for the signs. Silent learners may suddenly burst into song, start echoing phrases, or begin whispering answers. These are green shoots. Water them. Embracing the silent period as a learner. If you're a learner in the silent period, I want to speak directly to you. Your silence is not failure, it's preparation. Your brain is planting the seeds of fluency, and when you speak, because you will, it will be more beautiful than you expect. So, don't rush, okay? Read, listen, watch, repeat things in your head, whisper to yourself, sing in the shower, play with the language, enjoy it. And when the words come out, let them come from a place of joy, not obligation. What silence teaches us. Silence isn't empty. It's full of meaning. The silent period teaches us to slow down, to trust the process, to honor the learner's pace, not society's timeline, to respect the invisible work happening under the surface. And most of all, it teaches us to listen deeply without demanding, to listen with presence, and in doing so, to create a world where language learning feels more like a blossoming and less like a race. And thank you for walking through this quiet journey with me today. I hope it offered you a new way to think about silence, not as a void, but as a space for growth. And remember, whether you're silent or speaking, whether you're listening or just beginning, you are learning. Until next time, keep honoring the quiet and keep learning even in silence.